Hello again. For today, you should have finished Malinda Lo's Ash. As ever, I have discussion questions. In fact, I have two of them for today. First question, casting your mind back to those earlier fairy tales, Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm's Cinderella, Charles Perrault's Donkey Skin, compare and contrast the range of identities for women in those stories versus the range of identities for women in Ash. What jobs are women allowed or even institutionally expected to have? What degree of control over their lives or their stories do they have? And crucially, how does the novel present these jobs and their choices? For instance, to acknowledge the social or economic limits lets us know that individuals build their lives in response to or despite those limits. In contrast, deciding not to acknowledge said limits suggests that we are the sole authors of our destiny, deserving sole credit for our successes and sole blame for our failures. And there are any number of limits that we could speak of here. I mentioned social economic because that covers a fair bit, but there are others. You can, of course, refer to those. Second question is this. Speaking of limits, as a reader, the novel drops some early hints that Ash may be attracted to Kaisa. Now, since this third-person narrative is focalized through Ash, free, indirect discourse, what's reported indicates where Ash's consciousness is, what she notices, what's in her dreams, and so on. Now, you could begin with their meeting in the woods, pages 132 to 135, and then look at subsequent ones, which are many after that point. Or even go back to that exchanged glance in the forest, which takes up most of page 88. There are hints. So, what prevents Ash from realizing that she's in love with Kaisa? Look back through the book at the clues for us, which Ash seems to miss. There are many. Why does she miss them? I look forward to our discussion. If this were a class in person, I would probably offer this concluding thought at the end of class, after we've already had the discussion. A concluding thought. Why do fairy tales endure? And just to clarify, Ash is rewriting a fairy tale in a much more realistic mode of storytelling. So it's not quite the same as the fairy tale that you got in Grimm or in Perrault. This is a much more realistic mode. You have three-dimensional characters. You have a more specific description. But it is, of course, exploring those themes of fairy tales. Anyway, where was I? A concluding thought. Why do fairy tales endure? Why do we keep telling stories about loss and love and cruelty and morality and kindness and mortality? Well, generally, I would say that stories are an effort to understand ourselves and the lives we lead, and an opportunity to understand others and the lives they lead. Humans tell stories to try to make sense of their experience. Fairy tales are one of the oldest ways of that kind of sense-making storytelling. And they endure because they deal with the elemental questions of love, death, family, pain, choice. They deal with the elemental questions of life. As ever, don't forget that you have a quiz that is due on Monday, although available as of Friday. And before that, a journal, which is due Sunday night. For our next class, we will read roughly the first half of Ibi Zobou's American Street. Look for the specific page numbers on the module. I haven't yet decided what those page numbers are as I record this. because, as I mentioned, this is the first time that I'm teaching this novel, the first of the 3 books from 2017 that is on our syllabus. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you for another week of reading and conversation. I look forward to continuing that next week.